Welcome back, everyone. We're diving into something really unique today. Um, Secret Poems and Quotes by Arthur Crow.
Oh, interesting.
And, at first glance, you might think poems and quotes, a little average poems and quotes. I mean, just a
Yeah.
few lines in,
Okay.
and you'll find yourself in this world of vampires and whispers of magic and ancient powers.
Okay.
It's almost like you found this secret journal filled with all these secrets and confessions.
Ah, very cool.
So, today's mission is to kind of decode
Mm.
this hidden world and also explore whether Arthur Crow is just like a really good storyteller,
Hmm.
or if he might be something a little bit more.
I like it. I mean, he certainly jumps right into it. I mean, that line about "May the day be long and your blood soft, lest thy heartbeat is caught in the thin air of night."
Right.
Like he's not easing you in. He's
Right.
speaking directly to vampires,
Yeah.
almost as if he's part of their world.
Exactly. It's like he's giving a warning to them, like a coded message. And it gets even more interesting when you look at his piece titled I Am Vampire.
Right.
He's talking about, time when the virtues of passion were imposed by an immortal grip and seeing others walking between the spaces of time.
Yeah.
Hard not to think that he's talking about himself there.
Absolutely. It's like he's dropping these hints about his own experiences, especially when he says, "And occasionally I see another walking between the spaces of time."
Hmm.
It's a glimpse that barely registers in this new world of steel and glass.
Hmm.
It's like he recognizes them, like he
Yeah.
gets it.
Yeah. Okay, let's dig into this a little more.
Ah,
He doesn't just talk about vampires generally. He introduces these, I guess you could call them characters,
yeah.
like Osiris and Lucine.
Okay.
And he describes them so vividly. It's like he's known them personally, right?
Right.
So, Osiris, born from a flicker of scarlet, driven by hunger.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe the first vampire.
Oh.
I don't know. But then you have Lucine, who is described as the aristocracy of night, this beautiful and savage huntress. But she's also yearning for necromancy and love.
Yeah. I mean, the way he contrasts those two is incredible. I mean,
Wow.
you have Osiris, this like primal hunger figure,
Yeah,
maybe representing the essence of what it means to be a vampire.
right,
And then Lucine, who, she wants more than just blood, right?
right.
She craves connection, love, even control over death itself.
Yeah,
Like he's saying that being immortal doesn't just erase everything else.
right. And it makes you wonder, does Crow see himself in either one of those figures?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, is he drawn to the power of Osiris?
Yeah.
Or does he relate more to Lucine's longing for love and, control over death?
Mm.
And then he uses this word Nosferatu.
Yeah.
It's like he's hinting at this specific lineage or tradition.
Yeah, and then he talks about the immortal instrument within the Nosferatu. He's
Yeah.
not just describing fangs or anything physical. It feels like something deeper,
Right.
like a source of power,
Uh,
maybe even spiritual.
Yeah.
Which makes you wonder, does Crow think he has that instrument too?
Yeah. It's kind of creepy. And it reminds me how much he talks about blood.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just for feeding. It's like a source of power for him.
Right.
Almost mystical. Like in this quote, all that you thirst now will become marooned. For when the citadels of time have fallen, thou shalt know blood is more valuable than gold.
And then he also says, "Oh, how darkly divine, thy blood smells like the cataclysm of mythic beasts lingering betwixt worlds forgotten."
Yeah.
So he's saying it's more potent than we think.
Right.
Like a connection to other worlds or something?
Yeah. It's like he's experiencing blood on this whole other level. And then he says, the frost preserves what time would forget, and my hunger remembers what centuries try to erase.
Right.
The language is beautiful, but there's also this sense of longing there,
Yeah.
almost melancholy.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
what is he hungry for? What memories are fading?
And that sense of age, it also shows up in I Am Vampire, where he says, "And occasionally I see another walking between the spaces of time." It's a glimpse that barely registers in this new world of steel and glass. Like he's sad about something ancient being lost.
Yeah.
Maybe a connection to those who exist outside of time.
Yeah. It's like he doesn't belong in this world. Like he's from a different time.
No.
And it's not just vampires in his world.
Right.
He brings in witches and ancient gods and other powerful beings, weaving them all together.
Yeah, and he doesn't treat them as separate things either. It's
Right.
all part of his own unique mythology.
Yeah.
Like take Hecate, for example. He writes, "She harvested the embers of Hades' soul and scorched the world with witchcraft." It's like a fresh take on the myths.
Right. It's his own spin on it. And it's not just Hecate, it's Persephone, too. He says she's the resonance of spring and the mother of death. She is the waning cypress beneath dying stars and the lust men covet. She is the solemn lullaby at the river's edge, and she is the eternal wine of the great king of all that is above and below.
I mean, he really captures it all there.
Right.
Life, death, the cyclical nature of it all.
Yeah, exactly.
And the river, that boundary between worlds,
Right.
shows that he's drawn to places where things change.
Yeah, these liminal spaces where things aren't so clear. And he does that with forests, too.
Oh, how sick.
He doesn't just see them as beautiful. He talks about transformation, like how they're alluring but dangerous.
Right.
The forest is like a chrysalis that enchants and reforms anything it senses as unfamiliar, he says.
Oh.
So the forest can reshape you, but there's a risk.
Right. He actually warns that if you go in unprepared, you'll either reemerge as a beast to serve it
Oh,
or feed the soil through death.
yeah,
So it's not just romantic. He knows nature is powerful.
right. It can create, but it can also destroy. Makes you wonder if he's talking about his own transformation, too. You know, like going into the shadows.
Yeah.
And that idea of transformation runs through all his work. Like in the blood, the magic, the vampires,
Yeah.
you know, shedding the mortal and becoming something new.
Yeah. And it's not always pretty either. Like, remember that line, magic ebbs from the wounds of trees and the souls of the brave. The season of the witch has begun.
Oh, yeah.
So magic isn't free.
Right.
There's a price to pay. You have to accept the darkness.
And that idea of sacrifice connects to how he describes witchcraft.
Okay.
Like it's everywhere. It seeps into everything. He says, the sensuous and florid aroma of witchcraft bled deep into the ground and besieged the sky.
So it's not just spells. It's something that changes the world.
Yeah, it stains everything. So we're starting to see Arthur Crow.
Right.
He's not just a poet with a dark side.
Right.
He's connected to these themes of blood and magic and this blurry line between life and death. It feels like he's speaking from experience.
Absolutely. I mean, the way he uses language, his imagery, how he gets inside the vampire's mind,
Yeah.
it makes you wonder, is he just a good writer?
Right.
Or is he telling us something deeper about himself?
Okay, let's look at this incredible description of Osiris.
Right.
O'er the highest peak, Osiris stood unmoving as winter tore at the edges of the world. His dark gaze pierced through the lament of snow and wind as the hours passed into days, yet he did not move. His blood was an omnipotent stream of crimson that would still flow when the last rivers dried, and his body would still be intact when the last mountains fell to dust. He was Nosferatu, and he would defy the world across the breath of eternity.
I mean, talk about power.
Right.
That captures everything.
Yeah.
The timelessness, the blood, that defiance.
Right, he's like this unstoppable force. And then he says, his blood was an omnipotent stream of crimson that would still flow when the last rivers dried. Right. It's like his blood is what gives him this power. Right. And allows him to defy time and decay.
And that ending, he was Nosferatu, and he would defy the world across the breath of eternity.
Yeah.
It's a challenge, isn't it? He's saying the Nosferatus are more than just creatures. They can shape the world.
Yeah, so he wants that power, that immortality.
Yeah.
And we can't forget about Lucine. She's described so, I don't even know the word, contradictory.
Right.
She's this aristocracy of night, a beautiful but savage huntress, thirsty for blood,
Yeah.
but also yearning for love and necromancy.
Yeah, she's a really fascinating character.
Right.
You know, she embodies the danger of a vampire, but also this deeper longing for something more.
Right.
You know, she wants to connect, to leave a mark. She's not content with just existing.
And that's what makes her so interesting.
Mm-hmm.
And he describes her as being captive in the 18th century.
Oh, wow.
What do you think that means?
Well, it suggests that she's yearning for a past era, like a time when her powers were more accepted.
Right.
Or maybe she feels trapped in a world that doesn't understand her.
Like she doesn't belong. And then there's that desire for necromancy.
Right.
Again, with that bridging between life and death.
Yeah, she wants to control it, maybe even bring back lost loves.
It makes you wonder if Crow has those same desires. You know, maybe he wants to transcend death and reunite with people he's lost.
Possibly. Especially when you think about how he describes blood as holding ancient memories.
Right. Like it's a bridge to another realm.
Exactly.
Okay, so we've talked about vampires,
Mm.
especially Osiris and Lucine,
Mm-hmm.
and how Crow uses these themes of blood and magic and transformation to create this world.
Right.
But let's get back to the mystery we're trying to solve here.
Yeah.
Is Arthur Crow just a writer with a really dark imagination?
Right.
Or is he something more?
And the more we look at his work, the harder it is to tell what's real and what's not.
Yeah.
The language he uses, the details, how close he seems to the vampires,
Right.
it all points to the possibility that he's not just writing about vampires, he's revealing a part of himself.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at another one of his descriptions. This one's about Osiris. Born from a flicker of scarlet, Osiris stood in the darkness beguiling. And his lust was a sensuous midnight of intoxication, a catalyst of hunger and passion, which bore a necessity weighing heavier than all the planets combined.
Wow. This description, it's like witnessing something primal being unleashed.
It is, and that description of his birth, born from a flicker of scarlet,
Yeah.
so evocative. It suggests this violent, fiery origin, maybe a transformation, like a burst of flame.
Right.
And that phrase, sensuous midnight of intoxication, it speaks to the way power can seduce and consume, blurring the lines between desire and necessity.
Yeah, and then he says Osiris's hunger is a necessity weighing heavier than all the planets combined.
Right.
So it's not just a want, it's a need, like he has to consume.
Yeah. It's like he's describing a god, one that's beyond morality.
Right.
Makes me wonder, does Crow see himself in Osiris? Does he have that same insatiable hunger?
It's possible, isn't it? I mean, especially with how he talks about blood
Right.
as this source of power and memory. It makes you think he might have similar cravings.
Yeah. Okay, let's shift to Lucine. Crow says, the aristocracy of night, a huntress of such beauty magnified in savagery and rage. She craved necromancy, she craved love, unto madness and unto blood.
Wow, it's all there, isn't it?
Yeah.
The beauty, the danger, the elegance, the ferocity.
Yeah.
The way he describes her as the aristocracy of night,
Yeah.
it shows she's not just a predator,
Right.
he's a ruler. And contrasting that with her savagery and rage just highlights how complex she is.
Yeah, that's what makes her so fascinating.
Absolutely.
She's not just one thing.
Right.
And she wants both necromancy and love.
Right.
It shows she's trying to go beyond being a vampire.
Yeah, like she's trying to find meaning and connection.
Right.
And defy death, maybe.
Yeah. It's like she wants what she can't have to balance the darkness with the light.
Yeah, and that's a theme that runs through all his work.
Absolutely.
Vampires, witches, gods, it's all about finding that harmony.
Exactly. And he does it so beautifully, inviting us to explore the shadows with him,
Yeah.
to confront our own fears and desires.
Exactly. Now let's talk about his take on magic. He writes, all understanding is shattered upon the witch's anvil, for the supernatural obeys its own conviction and dreams its own dream. So magic's beyond human understanding.
Yeah.
It has its own rules.
And that image of the witch's anvil is so powerful, like magic is forging something new.
Right. And the supernatural dreams its own dream.
Yeah.
There's a consciousness there,
Right.
an intelligence.
It makes you wonder, what is magic dreaming about?
Right.
What are its goals?
It's something to think about, isn't it?
Yeah. He doesn't give us the answers, just makes us ask the questions.
Yeah.
And maybe that's what he's doing all along, exploring the unknown and figuring out his own truths.
And he invites us to do the same, doesn't he?
He does. Explore the shadows and question what we think is real, and accept that there might be more to the world than we can see.
Absolutely. Now let's look at how he describes forests. The forest is like a chrysalis that enchants and reforms anything it senses as unfamiliar. Those who enter unprepared will be held captive in a lascivious web of magic and virulent metamorphosis until either they reemerge as a beast to serve it or feed the soil through death. And that is the forest's dream. So he's saying the forest is a place of transformation.
Yeah, he calls it a chrysalis,
Yeah.
like you're reborn, but there's that sensuality too.
Right.
Lascivious.
Yeah. Like the forest has its own desires.
Exactly. And it's dreaming.
Yeah.
Like it has its own consciousness.
Right.
And virulent metamorphosis.
Mm-hmm.
That suggests it's powerful, uncontrollable.
Yeah, you can't fight it. You either change or you die.
It makes me think of wilderness as a whole,
Okay.
representing the unknown, the untamed parts of us. Like the forest is where Crow faces his own shadows.
Right, where he confronts his wild side.
Exactly.
And that's often where we face our deepest fears, you know?
Yeah, it's where we discover who we really are.
Now listen to this. Her lust was immortalized in a roseate sky. There bitten I assailed galaxies, till my mind became a crystalline desert covered in black champagne, morphing into fervent necromancy. And the setting of the sun dragged the covenant of time into the beauty of eternal night.
Wow.
Incredible imagery. It's like a cosmic awakening.
It is. It's like he's describing a merging of physical and spiritual, going beyond time and space.
Right, and the way he mixes the celestial and the earthly, the immortal and the mortal,
Yeah.
it creates this sense of wonder.
Yeah, and then the speaker gets bitten and
Yeah.
starts assailing galaxies. It suggests a transformation, this sudden expansion of consciousness.
Right, like they're being pulled into the vastness of everything.
And then there's this line, crystalline desert covered in black champagne.
Mm.
Like their mind is being purged, cleansed, and refilled with something new, and then morphing into fervent necromancy.
Yeah.
That speaks to a merging of the physical and spiritual, going beyond life and death.
Yeah, like he's tapping into this hidden power to control the very forces of life and death.
And that final line, the setting of the sun dragged the covenant of time into the beauty of eternal night.
Beautiful.
So breathtaking.
It's like he's saying night isn't just the absence of light, it's
Yeah.
its own world where time works differently.
Yeah. It's just a really powerful passage that captures everything about Crow's work. His fascination with liminal spaces, these transcendent experiences, and this blurry line between what's real and what's supernatural. And it makes me wonder, is this just his imagination, or is he describing something he's actually experienced, like a glimpse into this hidden world?
And that's what keeps bringing us back to his work, the possibility that he's not just writing about these things, he's living them. And the more we look, the more it seems like that might be true.
Yeah, let's look at this one. Low in a witch's forest deep, his hunger dissolved the...
Stars as he gazed upon her naked figure. And she writhed like a demon before his serpent tongue flickering. The leaves began to cinder from the heat of their lust. Such are the sins of a darkest night dreaming.
Wow.
It's like witnessing this primal dance between forces of nature. Like desire can burn so fiercely it scorches everything,
Yeah.
even the stars.
It makes you wonder, are we supposed to take this literally?
Mm-hmm.
Or is it a metaphor for something else, like physical lust? Or is it something more?
Well, remember we talked about Crow's thing for those in-between spaces? Like
Yeah.
the witch's forest, the darkness, dreams, places where the impossible can happen.
Right.
Maybe he's using this to show us the power of desire, how
Yeah.
it consumes us, changes us, even destroys us.
Yeah. And then that line at the end, such are the sins of a darkest night dreaming.
Yeah.
It's like, even in our dreams, there are consequences.
Yeah.
The darkness can get you even when you're asleep.
Okay, well, let's look at another powerful female figure in his work. Sarana. He says, Sarana paused. Mortality slithered from her skin and back into the earth. And the sun was but a ghost fading in her memory. Night unmoored deep in her soul and dreamed darkly, like a somber kiss in a bouquet of crimson. All is forgotten in the passage of time, but she was Nosferatu, and she would rewrite the world.
It's like she's being reborn,
Yeah.
shedding her mortal self and becoming part of the eternal night.
Yeah.
That image of mortality slithering from her skin.
Yeah.
It's so powerful. Like, immortality is more than just living forever.
Right.
It's about leaving behind your human limitations.
You're right. And then the sun was but a ghost fading in her memory. She's
Yeah.
leaving behind the world of light
Yeah.
and embracing the shadows.
And the way he talks about night unmooring deep in her soul.
Mm-hmm.
It's like it's become a part of her.
Yeah.
All is forgotten in the passage of time, but she was Nosferatu and she would rewrite the world.
It's a statement.
Yeah.
She's not bound by the past. She's a
No.
force of change.
Yeah. It's like she's saying the future is hers to create.
Exactly. It reminds us that even when the world tries to stop them, the Nosferatu, they find a way.
Mm-hmm.
They change, they evolve, they rewrite the rules.
Yeah. It's like what Crow is doing with his writing,
Right.
challenging how we see the world,
Mm-hmm.
making us see it through the eyes of the immortal.
Now, here's a quote that gets into what it means to be Nosferatu.
Okay.
I warn you, sir, the immortal instrument within the Nosferatu is a strange magnetism of dark lust and enduring savagery, revered by the demons of the underworld.
That phrase, immortal instrument, it
Yeah.
suggests this power, this ability. That's just part of them.
Yeah.
Something that makes them both dangerous and alluring.
And he describes it as a magnetism of dark lust and enduring savagery.
Yeah.
That duality, the charm, and the ferocity, like
Yeah.
their power is more than just physical. It's everything.
It is.
Their mind, their emotions.
And he says, revered by the demons of the underworld.
Right.
Like there's this ancient connection there, something that goes back before humans even existed.
Yeah. It's like they're tied to the darkest parts of the universe. Makes you think, what is this immortal instrument? Is it something real?
Right.
Or is it a metaphor?
Yeah.
And are vampires and demons allies? Enemies?
That's a good question. He doesn't really give us a clear answer,
No.
but I think that's what makes his work so interesting. He makes us ask the questions, explore these complex relationships.
Now, let's look at how Lucine sees the world. He writes, Lucine gazed through the glitter of light snowfall. The world revolved around her as if it were a timepiece that fought for its very own existence. Everything depended on how well people's lives would conform to the silent choir of fear, determined to keep at bay the inevitable cycle of death and rebirth. The venom that flowed through the body of the Nosferatu was both the eternal spring and deadly omen at the same time.
Yeah, there's that contrast again.
Right.
Lucine's immortal perspective against the short, fear-driven lives of humans.
And the world as a timepiece that fought for its very own existence. Like he's emphasizing how aware she is of time. And that cycle of life and death.
And that silent choir of fear, it's like this constant anxiety that hangs over humans.
Yeah.
Because they know they're going to die.
Right.
They're trapped in this cycle of fear and denial.
And then you have Lucine with her venom, representing both eternal spring and deadly omen.
Yeah.
She's immortal, but also a threat.
Like she's both beautiful and dangerous. A reminder that wanting to live forever can cost you something. And it makes me wonder, does Crow see himself that way too? Like a deadly omen? Does he feel like he's separate from the world, aware of his own power and how dangerous it could be?
I think that's possible.
Yeah.
Remember how he felt like an outsider?
Right.
Maybe he feels caught between these two worlds, drawn to immortality, but still seeing the beauty in the mortal world.
And then he gets even deeper into Lucine's feelings. Lucine's gaze was a dark fever, a slow lament brooding over her bed of decay and fallen citadels. She whispered over her lover's tomb with lips made of antediluvian roses, and the souls of 1,000 men bled in her dreams.
Wow. He's really showing us what's behind her immortal mask, you know?
Yeah.
All the pain and longing.
He describes her gaze as a dark fever. That suggests such intensity. But then there's that sadness, too.
Right.
A slow lament brooding over a bed of decay and fallen citadels.
Yeah.
It's like saying being immortal doesn't take away the pain of losing things or seeing everything crumble around you.
Right. And that image of her by the tomb. She whispered over her lover's tomb with lips made of antediluvian roses.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, but so sad.
It is. Like love that can't last.
And the antediluvian roses, ancient, beautiful, but decaying.
Right.
And the souls of 1,000 men bled in her dreams.
Yeah.
That's chilling.
Like she's haunted by her past.
Yeah, all the lives she's taken.
And it makes you think about memory and identity.
Right.
What does it mean to live forever if your memories fade? Does it make you less of who you are, or does it make you appreciate every moment even more?
And does Crow feel that same weight?
Right.
Does he carry those memory too? Yeah. Let's look at how he describes memory for a Nosferatu. Some say the memory of love is cauterized in the wounds of time. But to the Nosferatu, memory is a dark symphony of 1,000 lives entombed beneath his skin, steeped in the alchemy of bloodlust. This song I have carried for 1,000 years. This song I devour.
It's like memory is more than just something in your mind for them.
Right.
It's a physical thing.
Yeah, this dark symphony of 1,000 lives entombed beneath his skin.
Yeah.
Like scars telling a story.
Yeah. And those memories are steeped in the alchemy of bloodlust.
Right.
So their memories are affected by their hunger, their nature. Their whole being is made up of the lives they've taken.
Yeah, like a tapestry of darkness and desire.
This song I have carried for 1,000 years, this song I devour.
That sums it up, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Immortality isn't just about living forever.
Right.
It's about carrying eternity within you. And again, it makes you wonder, does Crow feel this too?
Right.
Does he carry those echoes of other lives?
And if he does, what does that mean for him?
Right.
Does it hurt him? Or does it give him power?
Yeah, those are good questions. And all we can really say is that Crow really understands vampires,
Yeah.
what it means to live forever, the memories, the danger, the allure.
Now this next line, it's tender, but also kind of chilling.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldst thou drink my blood and haunt the world forever with thy beauty?
It's like a love letter, isn't it? Inviting someone to join him in immortality.
Yeah.
But then there's that word haunt.
Right.
Like there's a darkness there too.
It's like he's offering a gift, but it comes with strings attached.
Exactly. He wants to share it, but also bind them to him.
Yeah.
And he's drawn to their beauty.
Right.
So it's more than companionship.
It makes you think about love and possession, how they can be intertwined, especially for someone like Osiris, who's beyond death.
Now, here's how he describes Lucine. Lucine stood wreathed in winter scorn. Her porcelain gaze steeped in centuries of silvern mists and unhallowed vows. It captures her beauty, but also something haunting about her.
Yeah, like she's beautiful, but, don't mess with her.
What?
And that phrase, porcelain gaze,
Yeah.
it shows how delicate she looks, but also hints that maybe she's not as strong as she seems.
Right. Maybe even immortality can't protect you from pain and loss.
And then steeped in centuries of silvern mists and unhallowed vows. It just speaks to all the years she's seen, all the secrets she keeps. Like she's a living history book. And those unhallowed vows,
Yeah.
it makes you think about all the things she's been through. Forbidden love, broken promises,
Right.
maybe even betrayal. And it makes you think about how our experiences shape us. If who we are is because of our memories, what happens when those fade?
Right.
Do we become less of ourselves? Or does it free us?
Maybe that's something Crow is exploring in his work.
Yeah.
Identity, memory, how to reconcile the past with the present, the mortal with the immortal.
Here's a line about ambition and power. To be a king among men, one must breed murder and devour cities. But to be the king of the underworld, one must besiege gods and turn darkness into wine.
That's a powerful statement.
Yeah.
Like he's laying out the different levels of power
Right.
and how to get to the top.
And the way he compares the two kings is interesting. The earthly king, he's all about force, destruction.
Right.
But the underworld king, he's different.
Yeah.
He challenges the gods themselves,
Yeah.
changes darkness into something people want.
Yeah, and turning darkness into wine.
Right.
It's like alchemy, making something scary into something people desire.
Like, real power isn't just about taking over. It's about transforming things, making reality what you want it to be.
And it makes you think about how seductive power can be,
Yeah.
how it can twist even good intentions.
Yeah. Maybe Crow is warning us about the darkness,
Right.
how easy it is to give in to its power. Now let's talk about how he describes a witch. A witch is but a raven, dreaming in the slow descent of night. It's so mysterious.
It is.
Like she's between worlds, the seen and unseen, reality and dreams.
Yeah, the raven,
Yeah.
a symbol of wisdom, mystery, that connection to the unseen.
And the slow descent of night,
Mm-hmm.
it builds anticipation, like we're being pulled into this hidden world of magic.
Now listen to this. Upon the scent of dying jasmine, she loomed out that solemn brook, spinning herself a crown of silver, witches' bones, and citadels. For her longing was the sky dripping with dark fever, and she will lick the face of oblivion till the stars scream her name.
Wow.
He's not holding back, is he?
No.
It's dark, sensual, shows her ambition, her power.
Yeah.
She's not content with just existing.
Right.
She wants to leave her mark.
That imagery is incredible. Dying jasmine, a crown of silver and bones, the sky dripping with dark fever. And that last line. And she will lick the face of oblivion till the stars scream her name. It's like she wants to become a legend.
Right, and it makes you think about ambition. Is it part of being human? Or does the supernatural make it stronger?
Here's another description of someone going into the darkness. And thy soul shall bow to that insatiable night, for he was a shade drifting upon the mortal shores, a figure kindled from ancient dusk, perfumed in secrets of magic dripping from the tongues of crows, and there he shall remain, caressing the blackness, unto gossamer wings bear him back to the netherworld.
This one's almost like a lullaby, soothing you into oblivion.
It is. And thy soul shall bow.
Yeah.
It suggests you can't fight it.
Right.
You have to give in to the darkness.
And the figure, a shade drifting upon the mortal shores. It's
Yeah.
like he's already crossed over, tasted oblivion.
But it's beautiful, too, the way he surrenders.
Yeah, and Crow describes him as kindled from ancient dusk, perfumed in secrets of magic dripping from the tongues of crows.
Yeah.
Like he's not just darkness, he has this ancient wisdom too.
Right, like he knows the secrets of the universe.
Mhm.
And that last image, unto gossamer wings bear him back to the netherworld.
Yeah.
It adds this beauty to it all. Like death isn't an ending,
Yeah.
but a change.
Now listen to this line about fate. Fate shimmered in an opera of wood and rusted steel bleeding into the sea, and the memory of the brave trawling through echoes of time. The song of the Vikings, imbued in golden ray, shall be forever etched in the hallowed halls of Valhalla.
It reminds us that fate isn't set in stone.
Right.
It changes
Yeah.
based on our choices, our actions.
And the way he describes it, shimmering in an opera of wood and rusted steel bleeding into the sea, blending the natural and man-made. It's
Yeah.
beautiful, but also destructive.
And the memory. trawling through echoes of time, like the past is always with us,
Right.
shaping our present and future.
Yeah. Like our memories connect us to everyone who came before.
And the ending about the Vikings. The song of the Vikings, imbued in golden ray, shall be forever etched in the hallowed halls of Valhalla. It's like this powerful reminder that even after we die, what we do matters. It can inspire others to be brave.
And it makes you think about what Crow is doing with his work. He's exploring the darkness, celebrating the shadows, making us question everything.
It's all part of this bigger picture, understanding what it means to be human, trying to find meaning.
Yeah, that struggle between light and dark.
Okay, let's look at this description of the witch's soul. For the witch's soul is the canvas of the forest, an erotic fever of luminous emeralds, permeating like mythic winds bleeding into the ether. It really captures her connection to nature.
Yeah. Calling her soul the canvas of the forest is beautiful.
It is.
Like she embodies everything about it, the beauty, the wildness, the power.
And then erotic fever of luminous emerald. It's so vivid. Like her soul is burning, creating, and destroying, and permeating like mythic winds bleeding into the ether. Like her power goes beyond the physical world.
Right. She's not limited by spells. It's just part of who she is, like a force of nature.
And it makes you think about nature itself,
Mm-hmm.
how amazing it is, how powerful. It can give life and take it away.
Yeah. Maybe that's what Pro is showing us with the witch. That raw power that can both enchant and terrify us.
Wow, let's look at this. Once upon a dark fable, I fled into the underworld, dreaming dead and bleeding. And unto all that we may seem is but a Hadean dream. It's like Crow went into the underworld.
Yeah, confrontation with death.
But he's saying he hasn't just written about darkness, he's lived it.
And that idea, all that we may seem is but a Hadean dream,
Right.
makes you question reality.
It does. Like, what if it's all an illusion? Like, he's reminding us that we're just passing through this world. Our time is limited.
Right.
And it makes you think about dreams, how they can be both real and not real, how they show us things we wouldn't see otherwise. Maybe his whole work is a dream,
Yeah.
a vision of this strange, beautiful, scary world.
And maybe by reading his work, we can learn something
Yeah.
about ourselves, about reality, about the forces that shape us.
Okay, here's another description. This time about someone with ancient wisdom. He walked through the ashes of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, among raven tongues flickering in the glistening night. He was the primeval ocean, the wine of mystery, the magician peering into the cosmos.
This one is so vivid.
It is. It's like he's describing an ancient sorcerer, someone who knows the secrets of the universe.
Yeah, and right away, through the ashes of the Egyptian Book of the Dead, you
Yeah.
know this is about forbidden knowledge,
Yeah.
ancient power.
And the raven tongues flickering in the glistening night. The ravens always made me think of secrets.
Right.
Like they're whispering to him, guiding him. And then the primeval ocean, the wine of mystery, the magician peering into the cosmos. It's like he's the embodiment of magic itself.
Right.
And it makes you think about knowledge and power.
Mm-hmm.
Are they the same thing?
That's a good question.
Or is it how we use that knowledge that matters?
Here's a line that's a little unsettling. For the night was never satisfied, so the earth pulled her down, and her tongue sank into the ground like roots seeking dark sustenance.
Yeah. That's powerful.
It is. It's about the power of nature.
Yeah.
How it can give life, but also take it away.
And how we all go back to the earth eventually. The way Crow says, the night was never satisfied.
Mm-hmm.
It's chilling.
Like there's this hunger that never ends.
Yeah. Even in death. And that image of the earth pulling her down.
Yeah.
So visceral. Like the earth is a living thing swallowing her whole.
Right.
And her tongue sinking into the ground like roots seeking dark sustenance.
Hmm.
It's beautiful,
Yeah.
but also disturbing. Like she's becoming part of the earth, but it's not peaceful.
Right. It's like she's being consumed. Makes you wonder what she's looking for in the darkness. What kind of nourishment? Is it just food or something more? Something we can't even understand.
Now let's look at this. Through the Stargate, I have lived 1,000 worlds, fought the rage of inertia, sown solar systems and dreams. In the blaze of this infinite universe, my journey is the beauty and darkness that never ends.
Wow. Talk about cosmic perspective.
Right. This is a journey through time and space.
Yeah.
Like he's saying he's lived 1,000 lifetimes.
And fighting the rage of inertia.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
It is. Like he's constantly pushing himself, refusing to be limited.
And then he says sown solar systems in dreams.
It's like he has the power to shape reality.
It is.
Like he's not just watching the universe, he's part of creating it.
And that last line, in the blaze of this infinite universe, my journey is the beauty and darkness that never ends. It's so beautiful. And it's true, isn't it?
It is.
Life is both light and dark.
Yeah.
Joy and sorrow.
He embraces it all.
And it makes you think about Crow himself. Was he really just a writer?
Right.
Or did he see these things? Did he experience them?
It's hard to know for sure. But what we do know is that his work stays with you. It makes you think, makes you wonder, makes you want to know more.
Yeah, it awakens something. That thirst for knowledge, that search for meaning.
Okay, let's look at another one. Or fallen citadels and vistas of deep sanguine, immortals covet the secrets of winter's somber kiss.
It's about desire, isn't it?
Yeah.
Even for those who live forever.
And fallen citadels and vistas of deep sanguine, it reminds you of everything that's been lost.
Yeah.
But there's still that spark of wanting.
Right. And he says immortals want to know the secrets of winter's somber kiss.
What do you think that means?
Well, it's like there's still something missing for them,
Yeah.
even with eternal life. Maybe they want death, release from all those memories. Or maybe it's something else.
Yeah. Like a secret hidden in the heart of winter.
It's like saying even living forever can't take away that feeling of wanting.
What about Crow? What's he look? Okay. This line is about power. He could smell kingdoms burning in her kiss.
Wow, it's
Mm.
so intense. It's like power and desire all mixed together.
Yeah. And destruction.
He takes a kiss, something so intimate, and connects it to destroying entire kingdoms.
Yeah.
Like power can be both things.
It makes you think about desire.
Yeah.
How it can drive us to do incredible things.
Right.
Or terrible things.
And who is she?
Right.
This woman who can burn kingdoms with a kiss.
It's like she's power itself. Okay, here's a line that shows how vampires see humans. The world is a tapestry of souls, and I am the weaver. It's like he's in control.
Right.
He's not just part of it all. He's the one creating it.
It makes you think. What's the relationship between vampires and humans?
Yeah. Are we just food? Or is it more complicated than that?
Okay, listen to this. I remember the warmth of the sun, but it is a memory that fades with each passing century.
That's sad.
It is, isn't it? That longing for something you can't have.
Yeah, like immortality takes away something precious.
Yeah.
He's saying you live forever, but you lose that connection to your human life.
It makes you think about memory, how it makes us who we are, what happens when you live for centuries and those memories start to fade.
Yeah, it's like a part of you is disappearing.
Right. And you have to wonder, does he regret it? Does he miss being human? Or has he just embraced the darkness?
So we've reached the end of our deep dive into Arthur Crow's world. And it feels like we have more questions now than when we started.
That's true.
But maybe that's okay.
Yeah.
Maybe the real journey is not finding all the answers. It's about being okay with the mystery,
Right.
embracing the unknown. Crow's work makes us do that. It makes us question everything.
It does.
Makes us wonder if there's more to the world than we can see.
As we keep exploring his work, who knows what else we might find?
Yeah, maybe we'll discover some secrets of our own. Thanks for joining us on this journey.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everyone.